Did Ant dodge a bullet? Has he got off too lightly, in your eyes? And there's an overwhelming, it's polarising, but there is an overwhelming spirit of give the guy a break. Feeling sorry for him. And I want to know how comfortable you feel about feeling sorry for someone who was twice the drink-drive limit and collided into two cars, seriously putting lives at risk. I just want to know how you feel about it in the West Midlands. 08081 009956. Should we give him a break? Das Hale, good morning.
Morning, Danny. Well, the sun is now just beginning to peek through the clouds here in Sutton Coldfield. Now, celebrity lawyer Nick Freeman certainly believes Ant McPartlin did get off lightly, despite being handed what is thought to be Britain's biggest ever fine for drink driving. Now, the solicitor claims sloppy prosecution work saved the TV presenter from facing even more serious charges. Now, he's saying Ant could have been charged with dangerous driving because his car collided with those two other vehicles you just mentioned. So, is £86,000 a fair punishment when most people are given just a £1,000 fine? Wayne Rooney, who's obviously not up for a few quid himself, he admitted being 3 times the drink drive limit, but was sentenced to a 2-year driving ban and paid a £170 fine last year. So I'll be asking the people of Sutton Coldfield this morning if they think Ant got off lightly and did the punishment fit the crime.
All right, the taller one out of Ant and Deck, in my humble opinion. The less funny one. I think Deck is the more talented, but nevertheless, Ant McPartlin has been handed what is thought to be Britain's biggest ever fine for drink driving. I don't think we should dwell too much on the £86,000 because the guy is a multi-millionaire. Apparently, he earns £130,000 a week, so he's up there with footballers and their salaries. He was banned for 20 months, okay. He was caught more than twice the legal limit following a crash in West London. As I understand, I think he crashed into a couple of cars. One of the witnesses said he came careering at such speed around a corner. He pleaded guilty to driving with 75 micrograms of alcohol in 100 millilitres of breath. Now, the legal limit is 35 micrograms. This is Ant's reaction.
I just want to say I'm truly sorry for what happened. Higher standards are expected of me. I expect them of myself. I let myself down. I let a lot of people down. For that, I'm truly sorry. I'd like to apologise to everybody involved in the crash, and I'm just thankful nobody was seriously hurt.
Now, I'm not on any form of social media myself, but social media, I've been reliably informed, is divided on how people feel about Ant McPartlin. A lot of people are saying, oh, come on, give the lad a break. He's just split up with his missus. He's been seeking treatment, some rehabilitation. He's been hooked on prescription drugs, hooked on alcohol, and he's got all of the world's media. Well, no, forgive me, that's just not true, but he's got the UK's media camped out outside his doorstep. A lot of people are saying, well, hang on, he nearly killed a couple of people. He stuffed it into 2 cars over the limit. You see how wobbly he is on the video, and you've got to ask yourself, 75 micrograms of alcohol, that's what he blew at the station. After being escorted to the station, maybe after a period of time in the cell. So, what was the alcohol in his breath at the roadside when he stuffed into those cars? Oh, wait, did he get off lightly? That's what I'm asking. Do you feel sorry for him? 08081 009956. Now then, it's across most of the tabloids this morning. We know him as Mr. Loophole. Nick Freeman, celebrity lawyer and lawyer to celebrities. You're a bit of both, aren't you, Nick? Good morning.
Good morning, Danny.
Did he dodge a bullet?
Well, no, I don't think he dodged a bullet. I feel very sorry for him because he's got serious health issues, and I hope he redresses those. I'm looking at this purely from a legal perspective, and as you rightly say, he was driving a car with 75 micrograms of alcohol in his system, and he was charged with drink driving. He wasn't charged with anything else, and what's happened is the judge has basically, from the sentencing perspective, been put into a straitjacket as to how she sentences him. She's opened the guidelines, and she's followed the guidelines literally to the letter. She's fined him in accordance with his net income, and she's disqualified him exactly in accordance with the reading. So whether £86,000 is the highest fine or not, does it accurately reflect an appropriate punishment for what's happened? What about the manner of driving? What about driving on the wrong side of the road, colliding with 2 cars, hitting and causing injury, fortunately minimal injury, Is that reflected in the charge of drink driving, or should that be reflected in a different charge? And if it had been reflected in a different charge, and that's what I'm suggesting that the driving actually was dangerous, then the judge would have been able to approach this in an entirely different way. And the straitjacket would have been removed, and she would have been able to give him a community order, coupled with a financial penalty, and, of course, a period of disqualification, and an extended retest before he drives again, because, of course, when you're disqualified for drink driving, you get your licence back automatically. You apply for it after a period of time. If you're disqualified for dangerous driving, you actually have to apply and take an extended test, which is very difficult to pass. So it will be more onerous for him, and it will be more punitive. So I'm not out, obviously, to get Ant. I feel very sorry for him, and I hope he recovers very quickly. But I just think that the Crown and the police have looked at this myopically and haven't really considered the bigger picture in terms of what actually did he do, how should that be reflected in charges, and how will that assist the court in sentencing him in a way which is commensurate for what's actually happened.
Nick, let me ask you, you said you feel sorry for him. Why?
Because anyone who has the sort of issues that he has, and he's clearly troubled, I mean, I think we can loosely call them mental health issues, they're not of his own making. You know, there are an awful lot of people who enjoy massive success, and you go around various priories in the country, and they're full of well-known people who, for whatever reason, whether it's a chemical reaction or they just can't cope with the success that fame has brought to them. And I know it's very hard for us to imagine that, but mental health issues are very serious, and I think sometimes we look at them lightly and say, look, here's a guy who's got everything in the world before him, and he clearly can't deal with it.
But that
and I have to just add one other point.
Of course.
His mother was with him, and you saw how he was when he got out of that car. He was completely out of it, and you know, to say you get in a car in that state, what mother in this world would allow her son to drive in that condition?
But Nick, people listening will think that it's almost given, not the green light, but let's just say the amber light, prepare to drive away, to people with mental illnesses, people who can't cope in life, to have a couple of have significantly
more.
He's had a lot. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are sort of forgetting and losing sight of the people who nearly died, I guess, aren't we?
No, Danny, that's why I'm suggesting he should have been charged with a more serious charge as well. That's exactly why I'm suggesting he should have been charged with dangerous driving. But I do feel sorry for him because I don't think he's in control of what he was doing. I just think his brain is not focusing in a normal manner. It clearly isn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it.
Well, we don't know that. I mean, a lot of people who drink and drive, it doesn't mean that they're hooked on pharmaceutical drugs or alcoholics. It's just that they think they'll get away with it. We don't know.
Yes, that's true. The problem with alcohol is it anaesthetises good sense, and the more you drink, the more you think you're capable of doing things which you're clearly not.
Nick, you mentioned about the straitjacket that the judge was put in. Was that by the CPS?
No. What happens is the police, coupled with the CPS, decide how to charge him. And all they've done here is they've investigated one offence. I mean, you've made reference to prescriptive drugs. That, as far as I know, has not been investigated in this case, and neither has the charge of dangerous driving. So he appears before the court on the basis of what he's charged with, which is one allegation of excess alcohol. Now, if he hadn't been involved in an accident, he would have got exactly the same penalty. You know, with the greatest of respect to whoever represented him, he could have gone into that court on his own, and he would have received, in all probability, exactly what he did receive. Because the judge opens the book, these are the range. It's 150% of his net income, which apparently is £130,000. I don't think that's the correct figure, by the way, because he's been charged £86,000, which is actually 66% of £130,000, and the guideline, the starting point, is 150% of his net salary, and the range is 125 to 175%. So I think it's been misreported by the media, but it doesn't matter. It's too much money for an allegation of drink driving.
Nick,
it doesn't make sense.
In conclusion, you feel both sides of this story. You feel sorry for the lad, but also you feel that he could and should have been prosecuted for something more serious.
I do, and I think the punishment might have been of more assistance to him, might have ensured, because they can, in addition to a community order, he might have had an order compelling him to attend for various treatments, so that if he doesn't do that, if he abandons the treatment, he's back before the court for breach.
Got you. All right, Nick, how's that villa in the south of France doing?
I'm looking forward to seeing it soon, Danny.
Don't forget, if ever there's a couple of weeks free in August.
You're very very welcome.
Good lad. Thanks,
All right.
Nick.
Thank you very
Cheers,
much.
mate. Mr. Loophole, celebrity lawyer and lawyer to the celebrities. 16 minutes past 9. Okay, mixed feelings for Ant McPartlin there from Mr. Freeman. He feels sorry for the lad, but also he feels that if it had been prosecuted for something more serious, then he would get the help that he needed. So, already, mixed feelings, feeling sorry for the lad. I just wonder, does that give the green light to people saying, well, hang on, yes, he was over the... Not Ant McPartlin, just let's talk about someone else. Yes, he was over the limit, but you know what, he was drowning his sorrows